Hello, my name is Lindsay Meyers. Today, I'm going to share with you my communications journey as I trained myself and developed a new skill with listening. So as I would define communication skills training, it is the intentional effort to change or foster behaviors in order to develop a specific interpersonal communication skill. And I believe there's a couple things that go into this. It requires honest self-reflection and an assessment of behaviors unique to you as an individual. It's a continuous process of learning, acknowledging, adjusting, and practicing these behaviors. And the success is found not really in the perfection of it, but in the growth and the outcomes. So the beginning of the journey should really start with the reflection and the self-assessment. So I took a self-assessment called Skills You Need, and it became very obvious to me that the skill I needed to work on was listening. I did very well with verbal communication, communicating in groups, and intelligence, but listening was down towards the 46%. And I'm pretty sure my verbal communication is not 100% because I'm obviously not listening over half of the time. But it gave me a starting point for what I was going to focus on. And once I knew which skill I wanted to work on, it became necessary to figure out how I was going to work on it. So I started acknowledging behaviors that I needed to change. And I found these behaviors in the skills assessment itself. One of the questions was, do you interrupt people? And I was like, yes, all the time. So that gave me a point is I need to stop interrupting people. And then the TED Talks from Celeste Headley talked about letting things in your mind come and go. So instead of blurting out anything that comes to your mind, you can just let that thought pass and continue on with the conversation at hand. And those two behaviors I started to focus on as I entered conversations and started to put it into practice. And I started adjusting myself and my practicing in my workplace. So I have two associates that I had some good conversations with. The first one was a meaningful conversation with Isabel. Isabel had had some loss in her life, and I just needed to know a little bit more about what happened. Well, I was curious. So this conversation started at the front of our store, and it wasn't in the right place. It was kind of interrupted by another associate, but I was able to pull her into the back room, and we revisited the conversation. And by that time, I had coached myself going into the conversation that I was not going to interrupt her. I was not going to relate her experiences to mine. That was one of the 10 things for better conversations. And I was really just going to let her share her experience with me. And at the end of it, I think we were both in tears, and I just had a better understanding of who she was. My other conversation was a really simple one. It was with Leah about her schedule. And I'm passionate about the schedules that I make at my store because I put a lot of effort into it to make sure I do it right. So when they come to me and tell me there's something wrong with the schedule, I tend to jump down their throats a little bit. And so Leah, she warned me, right? She told me what was going to happen. I'm going to ask you about my schedule. And then later in the night, I prepared myself. I was going to let Leah tell me everything about her schedule issue before I told her how it was and how it worked. And I did, and she went through that she just didn't like that it was scheduling her nights all the time, which is understandable. And we actually came to a better solution of spreading the shifts out throughout the week to cover the business a little bit better. So it was actually a really good conversation. And I didn't feel bad going away from it, like I had attacked her about something simple as not wanting to close all the time. So those were the two instances where I really was able to put these behavior adjustments into practice and improve on it. So I think for me, it was a great experience because I improved my personal and professional relationships with my associates, but I also think it would be great for you guys to try it. And it really is simple, but improving your listening, for example, that skill, it makes better relationships all over the place. You gain deeper fulfillment in conversations for yourself and others. You learn more about people and the world around you, and then you even learn some more about yourself when you listen a little bit better. So in conclusion, you can really pave your own path to a better communication training or skill, and it just starts with some basic things. Find an assessment, decide what it is you need to focus on, do your research, pick a couple behaviors that you can address, start working at those behaviors, acknowledging those behaviors, and then practice and create consistency. And then remember the end game, the end result is not perfection, but improvement. And then just overall a better feeling when you walk away from these conversations with others. So thank you guys for listening.